Welcome everyone. Now we're going to get the assembled view of the Demon Portal. And I'm going to also have one more video after this that shows you the actual figures up close. We're just giving you a general view right now, and I've showed you most of them already, but and of course we have them over here. But let's go in here and take a look at this. Now, the construction of this was pretty easy. The instructions are good. The parts are machined well and fit perfectly generally. I only had a little bit of problems with these here and figuring out in what direction those had to go and how the thing's on there. So carefully when you go through there, a little bit of problems there. There's lots of little parts with this, and I don't know if that's good or bad, depending on your child. Most of this stuff is going to get lost, thrown away, or broken by young children. I don't know if older children are going to appreciate that or not. Lots of little parts, lots of little features, which I guess does give it a nice, realistic touch. And as I said, if you follow the instructions, it's pretty good. The only thing I found a problem with was the actual plant here. It claims that you can put this and just stick it straight in here and get it in there. Well, it won't lock in there. I don't particularly like that plan. I'm probably going to remove it. You have to use a little tool to press it in there for it to stay. You're not going to be able to do that. The only other flaw I found was these, and I think that's in a lot of Playmobil stuff, and that is the these things, which I'm going to probably glue on here if I keep them. These just kind of pop out. I'm not sure why. They should press down and lock so they don't just fall out like that. So that's annoying, and if you have a child you're going to give this to, I would glue this in here because those will be lost instantly. And then, of course, these fit in here, and these are in lots and lots of Playmobil, these torch setup things. Now, the portal, of course, has this fenced-in area where you're supposed to put the demon, which is quite nice demon. And, of course, these open up. And everything fits well, works well. I did not put... Where are those? I did not put the... Fine, where did I stick those? Stickers on. I don't really like stickers, and this is one of the problems with Playmobil in general, is they lack detail, and we'll go into all that. Here's the stickers you get, and I think these are very primitive. The artwork on here is pretty terrible. These sigils, magical glyphs, god-awful. And this decoration, which is supposed to be on the demon box, which we'll get to, is really bad. I mean, here they go and they spend a fortune with some fantastic artwork on their boxes. I mean, here's the instructions again. Look at the artwork on this. Look at how well this is all done. Of course, these are modified photographs, which they go in there. Maybe they don't have a good inventive art team, but probably not. Here's the great artwork they have in here and the detail you get. Look at the detail. I mean, this is extremely well done, extremely well printed. And then they give you stickers that look like it was made by an 8-year-old. And that's insulting most 8-year-olds. I mean, there's just nothing here that's exciting. I only used one sticker from this because I think it looks okay in the back there, behind there. And it's totally up to you if you want to use the stickers, if you like them or not, obviously. I don't. I would either put something else or leave it there. I think it makes it look childish. And, of course, I'm an adult collector, and I'm going to be using this for Catapult War Games, which you can stay tuned for that in the future. So any kind of silly stuff or stuff that doesn't fit in there, I wouldn't use. Now, again, it's up to you. And, of course, as I said, you've got this nice gate opening, and the main demon figure fits in there. And which can go right inside, and then you can close this. That's pretty cool. And it's a really nice demon figure, and I'm just going to go over it briefly here because I'm going to go over each one of these, but it's very nicely articulated. The arms move, the hands move. I'm going to go over all this, the neck and so forth. It's well made. It's a good color. It looks good, and it does move. And, of course, you know, what everybody wants in this day and age, unlike the past, is articulation, particularly adult collectors. So we want these things to be able to be a little more interesting than a statue. And I'm assuming the children want that today as well. People want articulation. I mean, in the past, they kept the prices way down by making very simple stuff, painting it bad. Well, now they charge a lot of money, and we should definitely have something a little better. But I'm going to show you, and this is good. And we'll show you the other things and some of the other errors that they made with their accessories. So you have this, and it does have a lock here, which is kind of nice. So you can lock the door, gives a little bit of realism. It also has these nice flame-looking things on the top. It has these things that you can move, dragons that connect on top there. You've got the, and I'll show you how this works in a minute. That's the actual functioning part, this actual demon well. And you've got these nice torches as well, and they look good. They're made in that purple and blue, which kind of give it a spooky look. And we can turn it around here, and of course they have a ladder, which the figures can hold on to. I don't know if we can do that here, but you can clip the figure on like it's actually, let's see if that does work. Well, they show that on the box, but it doesn't, it will not hold. I'm assuming both are the same size. Yeah. You can't clip it on there like it shows there. Another error on their part. They should have made this so the figure can climb up, but they don't really care about figures, apparently. All you have to do is look at them, and this retarded figures they give you. It's nice in general. As you said, what's good about this one is it tends to have hard plastic, which means there's much more detail in it. Anytime you get this soft plastic, there's a real problem. So you're getting more detail here. This is pretty well detailed, and so is the bottom here. So, I mean, it's not just soft plastic that shows there. So that's kind of a nice feature. As we can see, the ladder is worthless for figures, but you may be able to use that as a wargaming entrance where it is signified that that's a ladder. So now you've got, this is the top, which is kind of cool. It's interesting, not sure. As I said, we're, you know, a lot of these are taken from other sets, and they've kind of put it together to make this kind of concept here. It keeps their molding down, so there isn't a problem with having to spend too much with the, with all of that. I lost my, let's adjust my holder here is falling off. We'll tighten it up here. Okay, now, and it's got the nice torches on it. And these pull, these actually clip on, which is kind of nice. These down below here kind of pull out. And here we go again with that horrible design. So these pull off here, but as I just, or maybe you help, but as you pull these off, this happens. Really bad. I'm not sure what's going on there and why that should happen that way. But that's something that is an engineering or assembly problem they need to fix. And I believe that's on most of their units. They have these torch holders that just kind of press in. But when you press in, they should lock in. So that's something that's going to get knocked around and lost. So here's the actual feature at the top that actually does something. And let's press it. Now underneath here is the where you're calling the demon. and you trigger that. And of course, this button probably I would put in a different spot, but it's off to the side, a little difficult to get to. It probably should be up in this area, and this just presses on. They could have made the button anywhere, but and then you press the button, and that's what happens. So, it shoots the demon out, and the demon is a cool-looking little figure, as I've showed you before. And as I said, I'm going to go into close-ups more on this stuff. But get that cool little demon. It does have some articulation. The head and the arms do move, and there's a little bit of hand movement here as you get with the typical articulation. It doesn't bend over in the center there. As I said, a lot of this could be made better, but this is one of their better pictures. It would be much better if they had more articulation. So you have this top that goes together like this and goes on the top. Let's see how this, if I don't put that on there. Now this is just spring-loaded. You can hear that click it down, then you put the figure inside. And let's see if you take the top off, if that shoots very far. Well, it does shoot far, but it shoots straight up, which I guess is a safety factor as well. But certainly it's a pretty strong spring. You could probably use that for something else or put something else in here if you're an adult collector and looking for wargaming type stuff. When this comes up, and let's do that again, you just press it down so I can get a little better view here. It's just spring activated, and then you just push the spring here, and let's see what it does again. So you can see how it goes and shoots it up and certainly blows that up. The problem is that this is a pretty hard press as well, so it's going to be difficult to trigger that if you're using wargaming tools, but we'll look into that as an advance. But you know, it's a relatively, as I said, it's one of their typical tower type things that they have. And they have different towers. Of course, there's the main wizard tower, which again is a similar to other things. And of course, all their stuff is similar. They have a car, they have a plane with everything. So this has a car and a plane with it, and not with this kit, but with the series. And we will be showing you that soon. So it has all the nice little details. It fitted together well, certainly, and everything snaps together and seems to hold pretty well. With all of it, I mean, things aren't pulling out easily. Other than that one kind of goof up here, which I've seen in other kits, which I do not like. The rest of it is pretty tight. Doesn't pull off. These are nice because these actually clip on, because those are very easy to lose again for adults and kids. So you got to be careful of all this small stuff, and there's a lot of small stuff. And I'm just going to show you briefly, because the next one I'm going to go over the details of this, and there is some major, I think, screw-ups, which is typical of the lack of detail that you get from Playmobil. There's lots of little accessories. Here we go. More lights, quill for the writing book. There's the table. There's the book. And I'm going to show you what's wrong with all those in a minute. Here's the figures again, where we... and I'll show you with those. I tried to get it on the ladder there, but it wouldn't work. This is kind of cool that it has... these are like little fire things that pop out of the hands. That's kind of cool. I am going to try and see if I can go in here and paint over, mark over, do something over those ridiculous eyes, those nutcracker doll eyes that Playmobil thinks is their signature. It just shows you your backwardness and incompetency. It doesn't make a line good. What they made for collectors, which is really interesting, in this year, which apparently is a bestseller, is they made a Volkswagen bus and a Volkswagen Beetle. And apparently these are selling. I'm not sure why you would need a Playmobil model of that, but it just shows you the kind of shallow thinking that Playmobil has. And this is just another copy of so many other things out there. I don't think there's an original idea here whatsoever. But it is a fun little sword and sorcery type that goes well with their entire line, particularly the Novell Moore line. But you could use this with any kinds of Dungeons and Dragons figures, sword and sorcery type things. It's certainly cool, and that's what it looks. It certainly has is basically made well, and all the pieces fit together. Now, whether it's worth what they're selling it for, it seems to me that this is a lot of money for this. And I don't know if I'd give this to a 4-year-old for that money, because most of these parts and everything else are going to be broken and missing in no time. And that's one of the problems when you have so many little parts. So you're either going to you're going to have to be careful even as an adult if you want to save all this stuff to make sure you don't lose it. So that's the set itself. I'm going to give it one more little spin here. And then I'm going to go into my last video on this, which will be showing you close up the figures. And I'm assuming a lot of people like figures and do that. Most of the figures that I'm not going to be using these figures. I'm going to be using other figures. And there's lots of really cool figures out there that I have found recently and are around. I mean, there's all sorts of these things that are out there. There's lots of 3-inch figures, and basically that's what these are. These are 3-inch figures, and there's lots out there to choose from traditional ones. Even G.I. Joe would work with this. Star Wars, you could use this on many different, and there's all sorts of figures they make now that are anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches to 3 inches that have all sorts of cool colors and articulations and shoot rockets and everything else. I mean, there's an awful lot of that out there now. And it's unfortunate that some of the cool features that they put into their figures still have those ridiculous imbecilic child features that they did 50 years ago, created by a guy who just really copied them. And of course, there's no creativity to Playmobil, particularly back then. I mean, I don't think making construction workers knights and Indians is very creative. But, you know, back then there wasn't much. And they made them very childlike, and that's what these were for. Playmobil was for young children. And they wanted to just give it a little bendability, a little articulation, and of course, they did that. So I hope you enjoyed this, and watch my last video, which goes into the figures in-depthly.